good morning RKPians. This is Benu and I welcome you all to RKP online classes. So today we'll start with lesson 4, looking back at life, which has been written by Ruskin Bond. Now Ruskin Bond is one of the greatest writers, right? And he is an Indian writer of British descent, of course, and he lives in Missouri. And he has been awarded with many awards. He won Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Shri, and even Padma Vibhushan, right? So let's see what the writer has in this lesson for us. Okay, so let's start with the lesson. First, they have given us 5 books, okay, and we have to tell whether the given books are autobiographies or a simple novel or book. Okay, so first of all I would like to tell you what is an autobiography. So beta, when somebody writes about his own life, okay, that piece of writing is called autobiography, right? And with this I would also like to tell you what is a biography. Now suppose somebody is inspired by Gandhiji's life and he decides to write a book on that. So that piece of writing will be called biography. Okay, so first is the diary of a young girl. Okay, so this is an autobiography which has been written by Anne Frank. Okay, and second is Wings of Fire, which is again an autobiography written by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad. Next is Little Women. That is not an autobiography, that is a novel which is written by Louisa May. Okay, next is Boy, Tales of Childhood. Again, that is not an autobiography, that is a book which has been written by Ronald Dunn. And next is Treasure Island, which is a novel and written by Robert Louis. Now, beta, if we talk about Ruskin Bond as a writer, so he has a very unique style of writing, and he gives us very comprehensive details of the surroundings, okay, which you will discover now as we proceed further in the lesson. So let's start with the lesson, and before we start I would like to suggest you that you keep a notebook and pen with you all the time, because there will be difficult words, new words that will come through. Okay, and it's always a good idea to note down those new words, so that later on you can have a quick revision of the words, and you know that those words will come in your active vocabulary that you can use. Okay, all right then. My tiny Barsati opened on to the flat concrete of the building. There was no other construction on the roof, and a flight of stone steps ran up to it on the outside of the building. So it was quite private. Now beta, in this lesson it is kind of an autobiography only, and Ruskin Bond has given us some glimpses of his life. Okay, so now he has given us the description where he was living, okay, at this particular time. So he is saying my tiny Barsati. Tiny means small, and Barsati is a room which is made on the rooftop. Okay, so it opened on the flat concrete of the building, so it was on the top, on the roof, and there was nothing else, only a single room in which Ruskin Bond was living. Okay, that was his room, and there a flight of stone steps. Stone steps means stairs. Okay, there were stairs to reach the room, but that was from outside of the building. Okay, not from inside, so it was quite private. Okay, not everybody had the access to reach the room. Alright, I lived more or less independent of my family. I saw them 2 or 3 times a day when I went down for my meals. Now he's saying bit of more or less. We use this expression when we are not we do not know the exact number of something. Okay, when we are talking in like approximately of something, right? We do not know the exact number. So he is saying I was usually independent, okay, and his family, he used to meet them and see them, of course, twice or thrice a day, of course, for during the meal times basically. uh, Alright, my steps were steep and people seldom came to see me, the exceptions being the boys of the neighborhood, Somi, Haripal, Krishna and Ranbir being the friendliest of them. Now he's saying the stairs which used to come to his room, they were not comfortable to, you know, step on. So that was also one reason that people seldom, rarely, they used to come, they rarely used to come there, okay, and except the 4 boys, okay, who were Ruskin Bond's friends, right? But they came later. In the beginning, there were only the women who came to sweep the room and several visitors who were not of the human kind. Now he is saying, but the boys also, they came later, okay? Later means, that means somebody else used to come there before the boys. So who was that? The lady, the domestic help, who used to come there to clean the room. To sweep means to broom the room, okay, to clean the room. And he also tells us that there were several visitors who were not of human kind. What does that mean? That means they were not human beings. It may be birds, it may be animals, it may be insects, but not human beings, right? There was a banyan tree just opposite, okay, opposite. Squirrels were busy in it all afternoon. Turn the page now, please. Sparrows, crows and other birds in the morning and evening, and flying foxes at night. This was the first time I'd had a room with a view all to myself, and I think this was when I really began responding to the sights, smells, colors and everyday theater of world around me. Okay, now he's telling us that there used to come sparrows and birds, right? And in morning and evening, of course, they used to come and they chirped, okay? And flying foxes at night. Flying foxes is better, that is a species of bats only, okay? So they used to come at night. And Ruskin Bond says that it was the first time that he got such an amazing view and all for himself, right? And that was the time he actually became aware of his surroundings, okay? What all was going on there in the nature, okay? And he says everyday theater. Everyday theater means whatever was going on, what all activities were being done by different kind of creatures which are there in the nature. So that's why he has used this expression everyday theater for them, okay? A broad path ran beside the building which wasn't very busy, but the activity on it was always interesting. A boxwala with a tin trunk on his head, selling everything from bread and biscuits, from the bakeries to hair oil, safety pins and elastic for pyjamas. So he says there was a broad means broad path beside the building, okay, and it wasn't cemented, and he says it wasn't used by many people, okay, but it was still interesting because there used to come few people about which he is telling us now. So there was a boxwala, okay, with a tin trunk on his head. Okay, there was a box wala who used to come there to sell different things, right? And that's why he was called box wala, because he had a tin trunk on his head. Okay, and then there was an ayah with a baby in a pram, the rent collector with the teeth and nostrils of a horse, the postman on his brand new Atlas cycle, the fruit seller calling his wares in high-pitched, rather eccentric cries, a line of schoolgirls with red ribbons in their pigtails. Now he's telling us there used to come an ayah also. Ayah is a maid, a domestic help with a baby in a pram. Pram is a bit that is a trolley in which we make an infant or a toddler sit. Okay, and there used to come a rent collector, okay, who used to be always in hurry. And then there used to come a postman also on his new Atlas cycle, and a fruit seller. And fruit seller, what is so unique about him? He used to call his wares, and of course, and in a very high pitched volume. High pitched when you shout very loudly. And Ruskin Bond finds it very strange. Okay, and then he says there was a group of schoolgirls also who used to pass from that path. And pigtails. Pigtails is the pleated braid that the girls make. Okay, when it rained, there was a greater activity. At the last rumblings, women would rush outside to bring in the washing. Okay, now he's saying when it used to rain, there was a greater activity. Greater activity means more than which it used to be earlier, what it used to be earlier. Okay, so he says at the first rumblings, you must have noticed when it is about to rain, first it rumbles. Rumbles is the sound that we hear, okay, of thunder, right? So he says when it used to rumble, the ladies of the house, they used to rush outside. Why? Because to bring in their washings. Washing means whatever is being washed, what is washed and it is lying there outside. So they used to rush to bring that inside. Okay, and if there was a strong breeze, okay, to chase a few garments across the compound. Now beta, suppose there is strong breeze, what happens if our we have hung our clothes there outside, and strong breeze comes, so it will fly away the clothes with it. So women used to rush and they used to chase the garments. Chase means to follow, okay, to follow something. When the rain came, it came with a vengeance, making a muddy river of the path. Okay, and when it used to rain, there used to be the path which was beside the building, it used to turn into a muddy river, of course, because it wasn't cemented, right? So a cyclist would come riding furiously down the path. So a cyclist, the people who are riding the bicycle, they will try to cross the path furiously. Furiously means very fast, in hurriedly, so that they don't lose the balance, right? An elderly gentleman would be having difficulty with a large umbrella. Now suppose if there is an old person, of course he will find it difficult to pass that path, because he has the umbrella also in his hand, so it used to be little difficult for them. Naked children would be frisking about in the downpour. Downpour is the water which is collected there due to rain, okay? And of course we have seen the children, few children, they just enjoy the rainy season. They just take out their clothes and they just run into the rain to enjoy themselves. Okay, now we focus on this thing, frisking about. Frisking about. Frisk about is the phrasal verb here, okay, which means to dance. Okay, so we'll proceed further in the next video. Thank you so much.